This is Caitlin. I am here at BNF. We are on Friday, not quite the last day, but it is Friday. We're here at the park and we are getting ready for our unconference sessions. I am here with Mia Kercher and her kitty, Cleo. She just did a talk for us about her story traveling from Serbia to Vietnam, how I drove, bussed, tuk-tuked, cycled, walked, and motorbiked across Asia with her cat. So before we get into that, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of the work that you do?
Yeah, so I've been living in Serbia as a base for the last 4-ish years, and I was always traveling a lot from there. Like, me and Cleo would do a lot of road trips around the Balkan region, and then last year I just decided I would love to do a big trip, and I thought, why not try to go all the way across the continent and go to Vietnam in the car and see if we can do it. So that's what we did. As far as my work, I have a online copywriting and marketing consulting business. So I just basically brought that with me and kind of combined the two types of services and did that along the way while I was road tripping.
Awesome. You started off your talk, which I really appreciated, you saying that people are inherently good everywhere that you go, and you kind of just trust that everything is going to work out no matter what for you. So I wanted you to see if you could speak a little bit on that, because I thought that was like a super important message that you were, portraying during your talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of different random adventures in life, some of them more travel, some of them more, all kinds of different things. Mm-hmm. And I've just found that anytime in a travel or, just going out of my comfort zone in any type of way kind of experience, if there's something that goes wrong or something I need help with, I always find that there just happens to be somebody there who will either help me or will help me find somebody who helps. And so I've just always found, even in very rural, remote places, like somebody ends up being there at the right time. Yeah, especially with driving the car and stuff. Like, obviously, it's an old, beat-up car, and so I had a mechanic look at it and stuff before I left, but of course there's like a fear that you'll end up stranded somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's like, I even got a few flat tires in very random places. Like, one time in the middle of the mountain at night in Russia, and my wheel literally fell off my car.
Oh.
And I just stood by the side of the road and was like, help. And it took 2 cars, and this really nice couple stopped, and they didn't even speak English, but they helped and they managed everything, not even just the basic, but went above and beyond to make sure I was okay. And that's just always the case.
Wow. Yeah, I've had similar experiences too. I also had a flat tire when I was traveling in Morocco.
Okay.
And it was like everyone just started running down the hill to help us.
Yeah.
And they just genuinely wanted to make sure that we were okay.
Yeah.
We had no idea how to contact emergency numbers or anything. So thank God that
Yeah.
it was so nice that, they helped us out. My whole travel has been depending, I think, on other people in some sense and really hoping that it'll work out. So I love that you spoke on that. Yeah. So you also talked about, you decided to do this huge trip without any planning, really, which I love because I also don't plan anything. Why did you not plan anything? And how do you think that worked out for you? Would you recommend, would you have done anything different?
I guess if I look back now, I could have joined some Facebook groups, some overlanding groups, and asked questions, but I just didn't even really know that it was a thing. I don't know. I mean, I guess I was just there. It wasn't like I was like, I'm not going to plan anything.
Okay.
It wasn't a decision that I made. It was just that I planned the things that I knew to plan. I mean, I decided I was going to do the trip, and about a month later, I had gotten rid of everything in my apartment and said goodbye to everybody and gone.
Yeah.
So I was just planning everything I knew to plan, right? We just do what's in front of us.
What's in front of us, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, there are some people who's it's their nature just to research more and think about what could happen about this and what could happen about this. And I'm just an Aries, and I just get ideas and I do them. And I've realized that my strength is like problem solving along the way. So I just kind of trust that I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, one of the talks from Genki, the insurance company, the other day was about, at the end, talking about like preparing for the things that you don't expect. And I'm definitely not someone who does that either, but that made me think maybe I should like figure out the emergency contact numbers or some of the basic stuff that you don't typically think of. And speaking of like, can't plan for you having to lose your car,
right?
And all these other things. Can you kind of like, I guess, take us through those modes of transportation that you took and like how that kind of came about?
Yeah, so basically once I got to Afghanistan, I realized that the car was not going to be coming with me.
Okay.
And then I'm like, so do I want to travel? Do I want to keep going? Because I was just like, I've never traveled with Cleo beyond a car before. And I was just like, I don't know how she's going to do on a bus. But it's like, okay, well, let's just try and see what happens. So we got on the bus and she was fine. And then we ended up needing to take one flight to Thailand. And I was like, I just really want a vehicle. I want my own vehicle. I want the independence of it. So my first idea was to get an e-bike because I thought, well, I can still have all my stuff. And I really didn't know anything about e-bikes either.
And you built it yourself, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to order it online because I thought in Bangkok they would have e-bikes. I don't know. It's a big city.
That makes sense.
No, they didn't.
Good to know.
Yeah, exactly. So I ordered one online and I built it and headed out. And then within 1 hour, the battery was shot completely and wouldn't recharge again. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just pedaling this bike. So I pedaled the rest of the way for about 7 days while it was like flat ground. And then once it started to get hilly, then I was like, well, let's hop on the train for the rest of the way to Chiang Mai.
Good idea. I wouldn't have even been able to make it like a full day doing that. So what was your favorite destination and your like most unexpected destination that you enjoyed?
Turkey was amazing. I loved their camping culture. I was pleasantly surprised by that. So I had a blast like camping along the Black Sea and meeting local people who were also camping. Kazakhstan desert was also a huge highlight, camping there. And of course, probably the most unexpected would be Afghanistan because there's so much hype about it. And I really didn't know what it was going to be like either. And I don't know that I necessarily had expectations of what it would be like, but it was definitely just like stepping into a different world. Absolutely really different place from anywhere I've ever visited before.
Yeah. And that was kind of my next question. I remember, following along on Instagram, and you posted a lot of videos about your experience in Afghanistan and kind of your experience with the Taliban, which, you can't say you've met the Taliban every day. And there was a lot of, kind of negative feedback on that, in addition to a lot of good feedback. But can you talk like a little bit about that, a little bit about your experience and maybe what your, I guess, preconceptions and how those changed after that experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, we hear about the Taliban, and of course, as an organization, they don't give any rights to women, which is awful. But then it's like you meet the people, and it's just a bunch of young guys who are pretty much doing this because it's the only kind of job available. There's no economy essentially there. They have no international relations at this point with anybody. Yeah, of course, there's like, well, why would you participate in a system that doesn't give equal rights to people conversation, but at the same time, do you want them to starve? So it's a bit of a, I can see where it could be a difficult decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, they were very kind to me, very curious about me. They were like little boys a lot of the time, just like gathering around, at the checkpoints, just like, who is that? What is she doing? And, they were very enthusiastic, like, good job, like, good job traveling, And yeah, and I think there was a lot of negative feedback on social media, mostly from Westerners, or I would say completely from Westerners, who were like, why would you go to this country where women don't have rights and like support it? Or why would you go and be collecting content there, like saying that it was exploitative and all of this, which really was not the sentiment of people there at all. Because, I mean, they're quite isolated. They can't travel. There's only 3 countries in the world they can travel to at the moment. And so they don't get foreigners. So they were really happy to see me, and they were just like, it's great that you came here. And I think some people commented that it was a cool thing for women to be able to see me there, like traveling alone and driving a car. You wouldn't think that driving a car is such a big deal, but nobody there was doing that. And so, yeah, I tried to help out where I could and tried to make more of a positive impression and impact.
And then you were saying in your talk too, you also kind of worked with some of the women to sort of help teach them how to sell online.
Yeah, because there's a lot of really skilled artisans. They make, Afghanistan is like famous for their gemstones from the mountains. And so they have really good quality gemstones, and the women make jewelry. And there's even an NGO there that teaches women to make jewelry. And so there's a lot of, just like people making clothes and paintings and all of this kind of stuff. So I thought if they could sell to an international audience, since they don't have the ability to work in the country, that it would be great for them. So my idea was that they learn how to market their products and get an international audience. And maybe we partner with some, people have those shops where they sell different craft goods from various artists. And I thought, if people who want to help, they can sell that stuff. And then we kind of work around the system and transfer money to them. But it did turn out to be a much bigger project than what I had time and capacity to be able to do. So it's definitely like something that's in the back of my mind at the moment.
Well, either way, that's still incredible. And the fact that you took the time to, do that really kind of says something about, about you, and about the people there too. So, all right, moving on to Clio. So everyone is always fascinated with Clio here. So we had one question that someone asked about traveling with a litter box.
Yeah.
And so you wound up makeshifting your own litter box at one point. Kind of like, how was your experience in general traveling with a cat? Like, what are some things like where you had to get creative on, making a litter box, or, anything unexpected that came up? Like, how did this work? And did she enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, she as you can see, she's very chill. There are occasionally things she doesn't like, and she makes sure to let me know, and then we adjust based on that. But basically, once I got rid of all my stuff and the bicycle, and I didn't have a vehicle, it was just impossible to be carrying around a bag of litter and like a box and a scoop and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And in Southeast Asia, there's so much water. It's like all through Thailand, Laos. There was the Mekong River. Then there's the sea in Vietnam and all of this. So I was like, I'll just go, to the riverbank and fill up a bag and put sand in it. And that's a litter box, right?
No, yeah.
So that's what I was doing. And then you just go and take it back to the beach and like empty it back out, like bury it, once we move on to a new location. So yeah, I think it worked absolutely fine for hotel rooms and stuff like that, but sometimes we did have to take the bus. And so I just, basically she'll hold it when she's on the bus, which can get uncomfortable if you go too long. Aww. I mean, I would always take her outside and be like, here's your opportunity, but she doesn't go. Yeah. Not exactly like a dog in that way. So I just tried to keep the bus rides short, where it would be like kind of 4 hours I aimed to be my max. And so then when I'm traveling, it's just like a much slower trip, obviously.
Okay. Has she ever ran away from you? Because I see, and I was just thinking that a few minutes ago, she's just roaming around, have you ever had any like problems with that? Or she's just a really well-trained kitty, I guess?
She never runs away.
Not like a dog. My dogs would.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't run away, but she does hide sometimes because we camp a lot. And so then in the mornings, like I'll pack up all the stuff and I'll be ready to go. And it's just like, oh, come on, where are you? She's just like in the forest hiding under a bush somewhere, and she won't come out.
Aww.
And so there have been times where I've had to wait actually several hours because I couldn't find her. Then she comes out from like under a building and she's like,
aw. She's busy like enjoying her natural habitat in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I also wanted to talk to you about the other part of your talk, which was how you worked online the entire time and you grew your revenue by 60%.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel overwhelmed working and traveling? How did you kind of accomplish that and be able to find a balance?
It wasn't too overwhelming, really, because basically I just started to, with businesses, you have different phases where sometimes it's like, I'm going to scale and I'm going to like build future things. And that was not my year for me. I wasn't like future thinking or anything.
Okay.
I was just thinking each month, like, how do I make the money that I want to make this month? So I was doing like a lot of flash sales. That was my favorite strategy, and selling like things that I have passively, some courses that I have. And then I would kind of organize it where it was like 3 days a week. I would get a hotel, Airbnb, something, and then just like focus and get a lot done, like get all the promotional stuff done, have the calls with the clients, all of that. And then there are like 3 or 4 days then free where I can go out into nature and stuff. And my clients all follow me on Instagram and stuff. And so they all are really supportive of my journey.
Yeah.
So they know that like if I do need to reschedule a call because Wi-Fi is not good, they're like, no, it's fine. And it goes both ways. I do it for them too.
Exactly.
They're like, so it just works out.
Did you do, as far as your business goes, did you do any sort of planning ahead before your trip to, like you talked about, the phase of work that you're in? Did you think through that at all? Did you kind of make the strategy before you plan? Like, how did you kind of prep your business going into the travel?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like, I mean, I do have some regular done-for-you copywriting clients that, like, every month they have a, retainer type of contract. So I had that as a base going into it. And then, leading up to it, I did a couple of promotions. I was like, let's get some, like, one-on-one coaching clients who have longer contracts and, like, monthly payments that I can count on. But it's kind of funny because those promotions didn't go so well. Okay. So then it was just kind of like, well, I did what I could, and then the rest you just have to trust.
Yeah. What would you say was your hardest moment that you experienced on your trip and your most fulfilling moment?
The hardest moment was definitely losing the car. That was like my safety bubble, It was like my little house. Like I can sleep in there when I want to. It's like my transportation. And that was like my point where I was like, okay, do I actually quit this trip and just try again another time? So that was the most challenging. The most fulfilling, I think it was really just like overall the time that I spent both in nature, just really experiencing very far off landscapes. And, it's like at one point I was trying to walk through Laos, and I was just like camping at night, along the river, just some spot that looks good. It's completely quiet. There was one night in particular in Thailand where I camped, and it was a particularly challenging day where I actually couldn't find any food because I was so rural, and usually there's these little stands with soup and whatever, and I could not find anything. So I was searching for hours trying to just find something to eat. I ended up finding a little shop with some like crackers and cookies after a day of cycling.
Oh my God.
But then I camped next to the river, and the fishermen came out because they fish all night long. And there was this one woman on one of the boats, and she was like singing softly all night on the river. And it was just this beautiful, magical moment of like laying there looking at the stars and listening to this woman sing, over the water. And it was just like, this is so worth it.
Wow. That kind of actually brings me to, I guess, my last question. Someone brought this up during the talk. How do you remain calm and lighthearted during so much uncertainty and change? And I think a lot of that, what you talked about was kind of, letting go. Physically, letting go of some of your possessions, mentally letting go of a lot. So do you want to, maybe end with some note on that?
Yeah, I think basically it's just, our feelings are all a spectrum. It's almost like I see it as like a scale or something, and so you have sort of like one end of the feelings where it's like panic, overwhelm, worry, and then on the other end is just like challenge, adventure, excitement, and so then if I just kind of like think about that mentally and shift it to the other side, it's like, oh, this is all just part of the adventure, like this kind of thing isn't necessarily easy to do, and that's not why I did it. It's not like I was just like, I'm going to coast through and nothing bad is going to happen. So it's like, this is part of it. It's like you kind of have to, especially with travel, it's like that's part of what's fun about it, is you have to have this like pilgrim mindset, you know, where you like go and you seek to see these cool things, and in order to do that you have to overcome some challenges to see the like beauties and the joys and the far out places and stuff. So it's just part of the picture.
Yeah. Where can people find you online? I know you're writing a Substack to share more of your story. So where can people find you to learn more?
Yeah, my Substack is, you can find it by my name, Mia Kercher. The name of the Substack is The Call of the Road. So you can go and read. I'm writing about both the trip and about some life lessons that can help on trips like these. And my Instagram also is just mia.kercher, so you can find everything on there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I'll let you enjoy the rest of the conference. And all right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.